guys, we're going to get started in a couple minutes. Appreciate your patience as everyone's joining the call. All right, we'll give it another 30 seconds and then we'll jump on. All right, Zoe, let's go ahead and get started.
Sounds good.
All right, thanks everybody for joining today. Appreciate everyone taking time out. My name is Kevin Brooks. I'm your host for the webinar today. Appreciate you taking time out today to learn more about Amazon Connect AI for non-emergency call handling. This is a solution jointly developed by CDW and AWS. I serve as AWS Business Development Lead for public sector and state and local government. I work with CDW and AWS field teams every day to evaluate and implement Amazon cloud technology. It's my pleasure to introduce our speakers for today's session, and I'll be fielding questions through the chat window. We'll be sure to address all questions either as we go or in the Q&A after Joel's part of the presentation. We're joined today by Ryan Reynolds, who is Director of Justice and Public Safety Solutions at AWS. I've had the opportunity to work with Ryan for almost a decade, and I think you'll find his experience and perspective in the JPS space is broad, insightful, and hopefully informative for you today. We're also joined by Joel Suarez, who's Principal Architect with CDW, and is our technical lead on this non-emergency Amazon Connect solution we're talking through today. So I've been with state and local government, I've worked with state and local customers for over a decade now, and have rarely seen a technology solution with a combination of tangible ROI under a two-month implementation timeline to go live that directly impacts call taker call volume, reduces staffing shortages, reduces 911 emergency hold times, and ultimately increases constituent satisfaction. I'll be following up with each of you today after the webinar with my contact information. Don't hesitate to reach out if you have questions, concerns, clarifications, and happy to follow up with you after that. Ryan, over to you.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Loud and clear.
Good morning or good afternoon. As Kevin said, I'm Ryan Reynolds. Apologies that I'm not the Ryan Reynolds. I am the Ryan Reynolds, actually. You may call me Deadpool. You may not call me Green Lantern. I lead our public safety and transportation vertical practices at AWS. I've been at AWS for almost 8 years. As Kevin said, we work with our state and local government agencies, as well as our customers delivering services to agencies. Our 911 leader is on PTO in Africa this week, so you'll meet him probably on a future webinar. John Persano, he leads 911 for our organization, and to spend a bunch of time with 911 PSAPs and emergency communication centers across the country. As Kevin mentioned, we're in support of CDWs in partnership with optimizing non-emergency call management. Happy to join Joel in this endeavor and work through this webinar. So I'll be answering questions either in the chat as we go throughout, or also at the end of the session. Thanks again.
Thanks, Ryan. Let's discuss the key challenges that 911 centers and public safety answering points, PSAPs, face, especially with managing non-emergency calls. So staffing shortages. Many centers face staffing shortages that range from 10 to over 30%. And as a result, the trained public safety call takers, they're often tasked with handling non-emergency calls, diverting their focus from critical emergencies and increasing stress on already limited resources. Let's look at 911 wait times. Non-emergency calls impact 911 response times. These calls, which often don't require immediate public safety action, they create delays for those in critical need. So extended wait times during real emergencies can have a serious consequence. Then non-emergency lines. Non-emergency lines handle over 450 million calls annually, often at a 2-to-1 ratio, sometimes even higher in our conversations with different agencies, compared to emergency calls. Now, some centers report wait times that exceed 10 minutes, while others struggle to respond to these calls at all. Now, this leaves citizens with fewer options, and it leads to an increased misuse of emergency lines. You're going to have those callers that are just redialing and tying up those lines and those call takers. So addressing these challenges requires innovation and public education. So by reducing non-emergency call volumes and improving resource allocation, we can ensure that 911 centers remain effective and responsive when the seconds matter. So CDW, in collaboration with AWS, developed a comprehensive non-emergency solution tailored to help cities effectively manage non-emergency calls. The aim is to free up valuable emergency response resources, streamline the operations, and provide citizens with efficient service. Here's what sets the solution apart. First, non-emergency calls made to an administrative 10-digit line can be managed using Amazon Connect, which utilizes interactive voice response, IVR technology, and artificial intelligence, AI, to automate call handling and resolution. Now, this technology can handle common emergency call types such as pet disturbance or noise complaints, traffic hazards, fireworks, and road closures. Second, non-emergency calls that are made into the 911 line can be redirected back to the IVR system, Amazon Connect, if a trained professional assesses that that situation doesn't require an emergency response. So by incorporating the IVR technology and AI, Amazon Connect helps 911 centers alleviate the strain of emergency calls, enabling staff to concentrate on urgent life-saving calls. Now, there's 3 key outcomes that 911 centers can achieve by implementing Amazon Connect solution for non-emergency. The first one is reducing the non-emergency call volume. So between 30 and 50% of 911 calls are non-emergencies. This comes from sources that you see here, FCC, 911.gov, and NENA. So they all report the same statistics, and that has been the common theme that we find in our conversations, with different agencies. Now, these calls, they overwhelm call takers and it delays the response to critical incidents. Amazon Connect efficiently redirects or deflects these calls to the appropriate channels, and it reduces the load on the emergency operators. Now, there's a cost savings through automation as well. So the work that Amazon Connect is doing, that automation can be up to 50% of non-emergency inquiries, as I mentioned previously from those common call types. So this allows the centers to handle routine questions and direct callers to the right resources without human intervention. Now, this reduces the operational costs while ensuring timely assistance. And we'll dive deeper in the next few slides on the ROI specific to this solution. And then the third is improving the citizen experience. So the reality is over 70% of citizens prefer self-service, right? Whether it's through the phone or through a chatbot for simple, non-emergency issues. So Amazon Connect, it offers an intuitive, automated experience, keeping emergency lines clear and ensuring faster resolution for non-emergency needs. Now let's see how Amazon Connect for non-emergency works. So in this example here, you see that a citizen dials a dedicated 10-digit non-emergency line, and then that call is handled by Amazon Connect. And Amazon Connect guides them through a simple interactive process. It uses caller interaction. So that's the first part, right? The citizen is greeted by Amazon Connect through its intelligent IVR, and it uses natural language understanding to ask targeted questions such as, please provide a brief description of the reason why you're calling, or what type of disturbance is this? And then, as you can see, there's an automated decision flow. So based on the citizens' responses, Amazon Connect identifies the issue. For example, a loose or aggressive animal. It gathers all the details through the IVR, such as location and duration, and then these responses are automatically processed in real time. And then there's the action, right? The routing and notification. So once sufficient information is collected by Amazon Connect, it executes the appropriate action. For example, in the case of an aggressive animal, it can route the issue to animal control via communication channels such as a text, an email, or even an update to their system. Could be a CRM that includes all the relevant details like location and duration. See, the system diverts non-emergency calls away from emergency operators, ensuring faster resolutions while freeing up resources for critical calls. Now I'm going to pause here and we're going to take a look at a short video that shows a solution in action. So give me 1 second while I switch over.
And we're watching the tropics. We'll track the tropics for you coming up in just a couple of minutes.
A streamlined process to help both callers and dispatchers.
Charleston County is using new technology designed to differentiate between emergency and non-emergency calls. And Natalie Spalla joins us now to explain how it works and also why this was something the county says was needed.
Yeah, that's right, Katie and Tessa. When you call 911 in Charleston County, you are going to be connected with a human. But to speed up the process, the county is now offering a separate way for non-emergency callers to receive the help they need. Charleston County Consolidated Dispatch receives a lot of calls.
Just in the first quarter this year, we had 73,000 911 calls.
About half are non-emergency.
People call us if they have an animal issue, whether it's a lost kitten or a found kitten or a ferret or whatever they've got. they're calling us.
It's why the county just launched a machine learning Amazon tool designed specifically for non-emergency situations.
You have reached the Charleston County Consolidated 911 Center non-emergency line.
Callers are greeted by Amazon Connect's Matthew, who asks a series of short prompts.
Please give a brief description for your call. You can say things like animal control or check the welfare.
This frees up dispatchers to take emergency calls, giving them back priceless time.
This allows us to offload those to a machine learning environment that will allow people to report their calls without tying up a call taker.
Like many other counties, Charleston has been working itself out of a staffing shortage. What was once roughly 30 to 40 vacant positions at the center has now become just 2 or 3. According to Lake, the new technology works to ensure call takers don't get overworked.
We feel that this will probably reduce our call volume going to people by at least 20%. And that's a large number when you start thinking about the number of minutes that are spent on these calls.
Now, Charleston County is one of just half a dozen counties in North America that are testing this new technology. The county wants to remind those who do dial 911 and do not immediately reach a person, do not hang up. If you hang up and redial, you essentially get sent to the back of the line, and that makes it harder for a dispatcher to reach you. Now we're
So as you can see here from that short video, the solution does work, and it is in production in many agencies, as you heard towards the end of that video. So I want to continue going through and explaining the critical roles and in some of these non-emergency calls. So give me a second. Let me switch back to. So as we looked at the video and the previous slide on how the solution works, I wanted to show you, give you a deeper insight into the role that Amazon Connect plays in automating these calls. So I put together here 4 of those common call types, and you can see just going over the process of how Amazon Connect handles these. You'll see that there's the gathering information. Now, this is all performed by the IVR, and it's the same type of technology that's used for voice bots or chat bots. And it collects the information, as you can see here, based on the reason why they're calling, right? And the non-emergency call type. And then the system can act based on that information. So based on a predefined workflow, and what you see here are the common ones that we find in non-emergency calls. So Amazon Connect can automatically route those calls or information to the appropriate department without requiring human intervention, right? The example of animal control, public works, and it can use these through channels, call transfer channels, SMS or email, providing, the specific information to those departments that handle those incidents. And then the platform ensures resolution by issuing a reference number or providing an automated follow-up. Let's say someone reports something, you want to follow up, that can be configured within Amazon Connect. And then all this reduces human involvement while maintaining customer satisfaction. So by leveraging Amazon Connect automation, these non-emergency interactions are handled efficiently. They reduce the burden on emergency call centers, and they ensure faster resolution for callers. Now, here's the architecture behind the solution. Amazon Connect serves as the main platform for emergency call handling. Amazon Connect is an omni-channel cloud contact center that helps organizations provide customer service at a lower cost. In the emergency communication space, calls can be routed to Amazon Connect through a standard 10-digit number or transfer from an emergency call taker. Amazon Connect is backed by Amazon Lex and Amazon Poly. So together, these services assist with providing a conversational experience for callers. It's like Amazon Alexa that we use in our homes. It uses the same technology that you see here. And then Amazon Alexa is fully managed AI service powered by advanced natural language models, supporting over 29 different languages and locales. It enables you to design, build, test, and deploy these conversational interfaces seamlessly within your application. And then Amazon Lex is used to capture the intent of the caller. So, for example, when a caller asks a question like, what is the phone number of the waste management department? Lex captures that intent of the caller. Then Amazon Poly is a service. It turns the text into lifelike speech, creates applications that talk and build entirely new categories of speech-enabled solutions. Amazon Poly is used to read out the agency prompts and answers to the caller's questions. And then additionally, for follow-up, you have Amazon Pinpoint, and it's used for customer engagement, such as sending a text to a citizen that reported pet disturbance. And then Kendra completes the solution by enabling intelligent search capabilities. Now, the combination of these services creates a robust and scalable system for handling emergency calls. Now, we can't speak about a solution without highlighting the resilience and redundancy. Amazon Connect is designed with exceptional reliability, ensuring seamless operation even during infrastructure or service disruptions, which is crucial for achieving 5 nines of availability in the cloud for justice and public safety. Now, its architecture features robust redundancy at multiple levels. You can see here from the diagram that it includes the phone carrier redundancy and the cloud infrastructure redundancy within AWS. So if you look in the middle, an AWS region is sort of like a large city with availability zones functioning as separate neighborhoods. Now, each availability zone operates independently, but is interconnected. Amazon Connect is built to leverage multiple availability zones within an AWS region. And if one experiences an issue, traffic is automatically rerouted to another availability zone, which ensures continuous service without compromising the availability and performance. Now, this design guarantees uninterrupted communication, empowering justice and public safety organizations to maintain mission critical operations that are reliable in the cloud. Now, as Kevin mentioned before in the opening, this solution has those tangible benefits. In this example here, this ROI model demonstrates the potential cost savings achievable through implementing Amazon Connect non-emergency solution. So let me walk you through the metrics, the calculations, and the substantial financial impact that's illustrated here. So on the left side is the key metrics, right? This is where we analyze the call volume and the average handle time. And in this example, on average, this department handles 810 calls per day or 9,800 calls per month just in non-emergency calls. And the average handle time for each call is 140 seconds. And then we look at the time spent by these call takers. So a call taker spends about 48,400 seconds per day handling these calls. And if we translate that over the course of the year, this totals over 7,000 hours. And then we look at the resource element, right? Assuming they work 190 days in a rotating shift. So when we break down the calculation, we look at the cost per hour and the hourly cost of a typical public safety call taker. It's about $20 an hour. And this is based on the role, salary, and structure. So if we look at the savings through deflection with Amazon Connect, and deflection is the work that is performing, it is diverting those calls that are being driven to the non-emergency line, and it's handling those calls without requiring a call taker. Now, so the implementation of Amazon Connect, it introduces that concept of call deflection or call diversion, redirecting those low priority calls, such as noise complaints and traffic hazards, to the system. And then when we look at the deflection rate and we look at the common call types that are being driven into the non-emergency, in this example, 50% of those calls can be diverted effectively. Now let's look at the savings in time. If we take the deflection of these calls, and let's say we quantify that with, as 26,000 seconds per day of calls that don't require a call taker, this translates to over 1,300 hours per year in total call taker workload. So this example is a small example, right? I mean, every agency has different call volumes. It varies greatly. I wanted to show this example as a true example that we actually pulled out from one of our interactions with one of the agencies that we're working with. And as you can see here, the financial impact by reducing the time with deflecting these calls, the agency can save over 29,000 annually. And this is calculated through looking at the hourly cost of the call taker and then the savings through deflection. So in this example, hopefully you can see that it highlights the efficiency gains and the cost savings that Amazon Connect can deliver. Now, this model is flexible and there's other variables that take into account, but it can be adapted to very specific operational metrics, and it makes it a powerful tool to assess the value that Amazon Connect can bring to your organization. So we've organized the implementation of this solution into a focused 6-week timeline that's divided into 4 key phases: planning and design, implementation, go live, and project closure. And then each phase and its respective activities, they're carefully planned to ensure seamless transitions and delivering, exceptional results. Now, this structured approach, it prioritizes clarity, efficiency, and overall success. I'd like to take this time to answer any questions. No, Kevin, you're minding the chat room. I'd like to open it up to our attendees and open up to any questions that you may have.
And feel free to use the raise hand icon at the top if you'd like to ask a question, or post it in the chat, either way. So Joel, our first question is from Austin. Does this work well with one solution CAD, and does it speak multiple languages?
The integration is possible with CAD. The integration is also possible with systems such as Entrado. This solution does not front end the 911 line, which is handled through CAD, but it can front end the non-emergency line that would, in some examples, be handled by a system like Entrado or PBX. So that is where Amazon Connect would be positioned in that call flow, is in front of that non-emergency line. And regarding languages, yes, there's multiple languages. We mentioned 29 that are supported. And this support is through the voice channel that you saw here in the example. And this solution also translates to a chatbot solution. So those languages are also supported through an interactive chat. So let's say the non-emergency line that's published in the emergency website for emergency services can have a chatbot, and we can provide the same level of self-service through a chatbot, leveraging the same Amazon Connect and AWS services that we looked at earlier.
Thanks, Joel.
And I'll add too, there are many instances where Amazon Connect has been integrated with computer-aided dispatch solutions. One solution included, as well as Motorola Solutions, Tyler Technologies. There are 7 or 8 of the largest computer-aided dispatch organizations where Connect has been integrated successfully with CAD, as well as call handling solutions.
And Ryan or Joel, whoever wants to speak to this follow-up question from Austin as well. Also, what about priority dispatch? We pretty much dispatch on all non-emergency calls as well.
Yeah, Connect is meant for the non-emergency line. So right now it's not being used for emergency calls from a dispatch perspective. It's meant to be used for the 10-digit non-emergency line. What's happening now is that many agencies are transferring their 911 calls. When they get a call, when the call taker takes a call and realizes that it's not an emergency, they transfer that 911 call to their non-emergency number so that the bot can handle it or Connect can handle it.
Thanks, Ryan. And part of the one question we get on this, and Joel may have touched on it, but I want to clarify as well. There's no PII stored in this solution whatsoever, and so you're not constrained with some of the higher security attestations and things, CGIS, et cetera, that you need to worry about on the CAD side. Just to mention that. Next question from Eric. Do you have to port the customer's public phone numbers to Amazon Connect, the 10-digit?
Yes. So in that example, we would take and we would port over the number that exists today. So let's say you have a non-emergency line that's terminating in a call system or a PBX. There's 2 options. We can forward that number to Amazon Connect, allow Amazon Connect to perform the diversion services as we reviewed earlier. And if it does require a call taker to finalize that call, the call can be transferred from Amazon Connect back to the system that's handling non-emergency calls. So there's different ways of handling the call in Amazon Connect. You can port the number or you can transfer the number. We've seen both in our experience.
Thanks, Joel. The next question is from Jason. This is a 2-part question, and I'll take the first half, but Joel, you can touch the second. Can you explain the process and timeline for implementing Amazon Connect for non-emergency call handling, and what key milestones should be expected during the rollout? Essentially, the customer level of effort versus ours. And so I'll address the first question a little, or the first part of the question a little bit. One thing that's great about this solution is you as customers and dispatch centers already have the statistics that you need at hand, because they're the most important KPIs that you have in your communications center. So what we typically do is we send you a list of questions ahead of time. Things like, hey, what's your 911 call volume versus non-emergency call volume? A lot of that stuff's available out on public-facing annual reports and websites that you do reporting on anyway. But we ask for that, and then we ask for talk minutes, average length of call, and common call types. With that information ahead of a discovery call with Joel and myself, we're able to come to that discussion already with that cost calculator mostly filled out, particularly if you can give us an hourly rate of what you pay for a call taker. We can come to a 30-minute discussion with you, talk about the solution, and also give you a very realistic cost from, hey, what is the solution going to cost me from an implementation standpoint, and what would be my ongoing cost? How quickly could you implement it? We can come to that first discussion because we've got the experience doing this with other customers. very informed, and give you guys something tangible to work on in a pretty low lift just by answering some questions up front ahead of that call. And with that, Joelle, you want to talk about kind of the second half of the process after the discovery, after we would agree on the solution and start talking about statements of work, implementation timelines. Can you walk through that second piece of the question around level of effort from the customer side?
Yeah, so we work in unison with your team, and for this type of engagement, we have two main resources: the project manager that is experienced with Amazon Connect and is PMP certified, and then we have the consulting systems engineer that has gone through the Amazon Connect training and ambassador training. So combined as a team, we kick off the project and we go right into the design, right? We will most likely by that point have a lot of the call metrics and a lot of the information so that we can quickly go into the design, work with your team, and communicate how we will implement the solution. In our statement of work, we are very clear in the separation of duties and that level of effort. So we take a lot of things into consideration: security and compliance. All this work is performed remote. And as you can see, for each of these phases, we have milestones. What we will provide as part of the phase one is a technical design document. So that includes the what's all going to go into the project before we start the implementation. And during the implementation phase, that's where we implement Amazon Connect and the related AWS services that we've reviewed earlier. And we also perform the testing. So that's unit testing, system testing, and then user acceptance testing. We can create this environment in our lab, in a demo environment, or even in your own AWS environment, and you'll be able to test it, making sure that the system performs as designed, and we can also include changes that need to be part of the testing. So what we focus a lot on are the different use cases. And in this example, for this implementation, we know that the use cases are non-emergency call types. So we work with you to really dig into those specific call types, how they're handled, map out that journey, and then translate that into how Amazon Connect would handle that. And then once we get acceptance, then we do the planning for the go live. So we work with you on your schedule to flip the switch. But the flip of that switch always has backup and contingency plans. So we make sure that we uncover that during the testing phase in phase two. And then before the project is finalized, we make sure that we deliver on everything that's included in that statement of work, and we provide the documentation. What I failed to mention is on phase two is we focus heavily on end user training and knowledge transfer. So although the work is performed remote, we encourage our customer to work with us over video and be part of every phase of the project. We don't want to perform the work behind closed doors and then give you the keys, to the system. We want it to be an environment where it's collaborative, and we make sure that your team is fully engaged and aware of how the system works and who to call when there's an issue. And the system that we implement is backed by AWS services. There are different levels of service that are available through AWS. And then we also offer managed services for Amazon Connect customers as well. So we have a NOC that's dedicated to customers that are running Amazon Connect. Could be one or two instances, and we have customers that are running over 50 instances that we manage all of the moves, as and changes. So we definitely provide that continued service and support for this implementation.
Thanks, Joelle. We've got about 5 minutes left. One more question from Austin. Are the calls recorded? How long are the recordings available for?
The answer is yes, they can be recorded. You can also specify what percentage of calls need to be recorded. By design, Amazon Connect stores recordings up to 2 years for free in an S3 contained bucket. So that is part of the solution is that it does include 2 years of recordings that are stored in a dedicated S3 bucket. If that retention needs to be beyond 2 years, then there are other storage options that we would work with you to implement to keep the cost down for those recordings that need to be stored for later use compliance purposes.
So one more question from Brooke, and I think you may have just spoken to this, but just to clarify, is there a separate cost to recording calls? Can you clarify that 2 years of calls stored in the bucket versus any other cost you might incur if you wanted to do something outside of that?
Yeah, to record the calls, the recording of the calls does not have a monthly usage charge. It's the actual space or the capacity that you're storing. So you pay based on the space that you're consuming in that S3 bucket. But the act of recording and the function of recording is not a recurring charge as compared to other solutions that are in the industry that carry a user license to record or a platform license to record. That is not part of the Amazon Connect native solution, and the recording is native to Amazon Connect. Doesn't require third party like Calabrio or Verint or other solutions. This is native to Amazon Connect for those call recordings. It can go a step beyond the recordings and provide more real-time analytics. So we can actually transcribe those recordings that you can use to get a better understanding of the activity within the contact center. So there's an analytics portion that can be enabled as part of the recording. And the recording also extends to screen recording. So if you have call takers that are working on multiple screens, that is also captured as part of that interaction and stored within Amazon Connect.
Thanks, Joel. I got a couple other questions, one off outside of the chat window, and I want to just address these. Essentially, one was, what is the overall cost of this solution and how is it structured? Great question. Very similar to how you would consume most Amazon services in a consumption-only model. It's the same thing in this case, but you just pay for talk minutes. And there is no seat license or any other variable cost aside from the consumption of the services that you use in Amazon Connect. And we can estimate that out very, very clearly for you guys up front and give you an extremely accurate estimate. And then the other piece of that is the implementation cost that CDW, our AWS professional services team, would come in and do that 6-week project, as Joel mentioned, work with your team, et cetera. And really, there's a base implementation cost, and then there's some variability based on what it is that you want to accomplish. Meaning, do you want Amazon Connect to automatically create a ticket in ServiceNow and kick off a ticket to another department inside your agency? Do you want to create a record and upload that to Salesforce or some other CRM environment that you manage constituent engagement with? Do you want it to text back the constituent after the call to give them a ticket number? Do you want to send that over email? So there's just some variabilities from a configuration standpoint based on your use case and how you want things set up that can impact that base implementation cost. The last thing I'll mention is around contract vehicles. Being a public sector solution, that's a big deal, both from a services and if you needed to acquire AWS services, we can certainly help you with that. CDW has lots of contracts in place today, some with some of the agencies that are on the call today. Just I have some familiarity with those. But suffice to say that we can also work with a number of the national procurement cooperatives whether that's Omnia, Sourcewell, and a number of state contracts as well. So the intention of this is not to be a long drawn out RFP centered process. Ideally, we can take advantage of a contract vehicle that's already in place, combined with the 6-week implementation time, and actually get something done for you in relative quick order for the public sector space. All right, we were just a minute over. I want to be respectful of everyone's time. I want to thank Ryan and Joelle for leading the discussion today and for taking questions. Appreciate everyone sticking through to the end of the call. Looks like there's a good number of you who stuck on the whole time, so thank you. I will be following up via email, and we'll send out my contact information as well as some follow-up information that we covered today. Don't hesitate to reach out. Joelle and I are happy to have a call with you, talk through this, and happy to bring other people in the fold on your side as well. So we're here to help, and thanks again for your time today. Appreciate it.
Thank you.